Out of the whiteout, a lone MiG-29 materialized. One cold weather strike. A military convoy worth tens of millions, gone. 4 a.m. The northern frontier, locked under more than 35 centimeters of ice-hardened snow. The temperature plunged past -16 degrees. The storm swallowed everything. Roads, tree lines, ridges, all erased by a shifting blur of white. The valley was silent, sealed. Through this chaos, the MiG-29 descended 580 knots. The jet angled its nose toward a line of insulated engines. A hidden supply route frozen solid. 2 Sub-Zero JDAMs detached from their pylons, a testament to modern weapons technology. The detonations were silent fire. Not flames, but towering columns of compressed snow. Debris and frost erupted nearly 500 meters into the air. Steel silhouettes buckled under the shockwave, then vanished beneath collapsing ice. A single strike shattered the winter calm. And under that violent eruption, a far larger chain of events in this war was already in motion. If you saw that blast, what would you think was coming next? 3 a.m. Winter had wrapped the northern forest in a sheet of white. Snow drifted in slow, icy waves, a brutal test for any troops on the ground. The temperature held near -13 degrees, cold enough to suffocate the hum of machinery. The valley showed no signs of life, no hint of the warfare to come, until a flicker appeared at 21,000 feet. MiG-29, callsign Gray 19, moved like a ghost. It flew cold, in passive mode. Every sensor dark, except for the infrared lens beneath its fuselage. A border station report had flagged a thermal spike, no bigger than a lantern. Most dismissed it as storm interference. Gray 19 was dispatched to confirm. The pilot banked slightly to starboard. The flicker sharpened. Not one pulse, but 3. Aligned on a narrow winter road. Engines idling under camouflage. A clear military formation. Then, contact. A lone Russian drone, an A4 Post R, lifted from the tree line. Its rotors scattered snow in a thin, white spiral. It was hiding, its thermal signature suppressed until ignition. The drone pivoted, turning its optics toward the Air Force jet. It was acquiring a target lock. Gray 19 reacted instantly. The jet dropped to 19,000 feet, arming a pair of R-73 interceptors and launched one. A clean, sharp trail of smoke cut through the storm's edge. The missile met the drone in a muted flash. No fireball, just a burst of shattered components falling like black ash. It wasn't the main strike, not the military update Kiev was anticipating. But the blast revealed what the drone was guarding. A cold, buried line of heat signatures stretching nearly 320 meters. Engines warming, a tight formation of soldiers and vehicles. Whatever was hidden under the frost, it was a significant asset in this global conflict. 4:07 a.m. A wall of winter descended on the valley. The snow became a white curtain, erasing the landscape. Even the frozen river, which normally reflected the moon like polished steel, disappeared. Ground visibility fell to less than 50 meters. For most defense systems, reconnaissance was over. But not tonight. Ukraine launched 2 Falcon IR drones. Each weighed barely 6 pounds, a marvel of defense technology designed for low-altitude storm navigation. They flew just 60 meters over the snowpack. Their infrared sensors scanned for the anomalies Gray 19 had logged minutes before. At first, only static. Then, for a single heartbeat, the storm broke. The first Falcon captured a horizontal thermal streak, 500 meters long, broken into clusters. 9 winterized transport trucks, their engines glowing under insulated covers. 13 ammunition carriers. Heat bled from their side panels. A compact EW node pulsed every 12 seconds, a digital heartbeat in the storm. The Russian army response was immediate. An AK-226 scout helicopter rose above the tree line, its rotor wash throwing snow in wide, violent spirals. The aircraft swept the valley with infrared beams. It was hunting the drones weaving through the storm. Falcon 2 was acquired first. A burst of 7.62 fire tore through the air, and the small drone was consumed by a cloud of shattered ice. Falcon 1 banked hard, weaving below frost-heavy branches, broadcasting its final telemetry. Then, its signal was lost to the gale. High above, Gray 19 emerged from the cloud deck, its heat signature bleeding just enough to spoof the hunter's sensors. The K-226 helicopter veered off-vector, its targeting systems unable to achieve a lock in the whiteout. This clash of defense technology was not the point. The real prize was the data Falcon 1 transmitted. A half-kilometer column of Army troops advancing through a frozen, sealed-off corridor. As those thermal signatures materialized from the blizzard, one by one, the true nature of this global conflict became brutally clear. What followed was inevitable. The answer arrived at 4:49 in the morning. It was not a subtle development in this war. The storm broke, just for a moment. A sliver of silver light cut through the sky, illuminating a forest buried under 30 centimeters of new snow. A silent, unbroken surface. But far above the weather, an Air Force MiG-29, callsign Blue 117, was already on the hunt, climbing through 26,000 feet. Its airframe was sheathed in ice, every control surface humming as it sliced through the sub-zero air. This military asset carried a light, specialized payload. Just 2 ARX-92 anti-radiation weapons and a rack of extended-range JDAMs, their guidance systems optimized for extreme cold. At 4:51, the target was acquired. The fighter's sensors painted 12 Koalitzia self-propelled guns, their barrels insulated against the cold, part of a sophisticated defense system. 18 support vehicles followed, loaded with winter-grade munitions, and a single Kite B electronic warfare truck jamming the spectrum in precise, rhythmic pulses. The formation spanned 620 meters, its pace deliberate, cautious. The opening move of this modern warfare engagement was surgical. Blue 117 descended to 20,000 feet, armed its ARX-92s, and fired. The engine ignition was a dull, hollow sound. A roar swallowed by the storm. The modern weapons flew a perfect, synchronized trajectory. 30 seconds later, the EW truck's signal went dark. The entire column was now blind. The main attack run began. Blue 117. The pilot pushed the stick forward. A steep 63-degree dive. Airspeed screaming past 580 knots. Ice and snow streaking across the canopy like tracers. At 13,000 feet, the release. 4 cold-weather JDAM ERs fell away from the aircraft. Each munition was slaved to a unique heat signature, logged by the drones just hours before. The impacts were not explosions of fire. They were brutal, concussive waves, throwing columns of snow into the air. The first blast shattered the head of the convoy. The second tore the center apart. The third and fourth slammed into the rear near the fuel carriers, creating a thermal bloom over a half-kilometer. Engines seized in the sudden temperature drop. In 150 seconds, all forward momentum ceased. The metal hulks of the halted troops lay still, scattered silhouettes under a curtain of falling snow. Their advance was erased from the battlefield, a critical military update delivered without a single flash of light. Blue 117 climbed back into the clouds, leaving only a broken line in a silent, frozen landscape below. 5:12 a.m. The blizzard subsided to a gentle snowfall. Flakes began to cover the fresh scars in the forest. The wreckage in the corridor was slowly being buried. The temperature plunged again to minus 14 degrees Celsius. Every cooling engine, every dying heat source now glowed on thermal scopes. High in orbit, a reconnaissance satellite adjusted its lens. The war analysis began. It captured a thermal wound 750 meters long. The image was a mosaic of fading warmth, cooling metal, fading signatures of soldiers. The convoy was no longer a threat. It was a random pattern of cold, dead shapes. Each one isolated, each one still. The response came fast. A Russian Il-22 appeared on radar. An electronic surveillance aircraft clawed into the sky, climbing to 21,000 feet. Its advanced defense technology array swept the valley, hunting for the reason behind the collapse. But the ghost of the ARX-92 strike remained. The modern weapons had fractured the electromagnetic field, signals bent. They returned as ghosts. Others vanished into a 9-kilometer dead zone. Ukraine exploited the chaos. Their air force pushed in, MiG-29s, Gray 22s, and Gray 24s entered the sector. Their mission: fly escort for Blue 117's withdrawal. Radars whispered on low-probability modes, their pulses lost in the atmospheric noise of this new warfare. Far below, small reconnaissance drones slipped back into the strike zone, their sensors tracing faint pockets of residual heat. Heat trapped beneath the crushing weight of snow. The war analysis was brutally simple. Every vehicle was cold. Coalitzia units, supply carriers, fuel trucks, all registered zero thermal output. A vital army convoy, meant to reinforce the troops up north, was frozen in time, neutralized long before reaching its objective. Across the front lines, Army artillery troops awaiting vital weapons began to report back. Missed check-ins, delayed transmissions. This military update was a void. The disruption was spreading, tightening its grip on the sector. And out in the drifting snow, a new phase in this global conflict was taking shape. 5 a.m., the darkness held. The sky bled into a pale, dead gray, the color of morning long before the sun dares to rise. Snowfall thinned to a freezing mist, drifting over a landscape that no longer matched the military maps drawn hours before. On the northern flank, the first tremors were felt. Ground radar stations, the eyes of the defense line along the Yursk-Kreminna belt, reported 34 signal divergences, minute delays where coverage from the defense systems should have been seamless. These were not outages, they were distortions. The kind that appear when a command node loses its link to forward troops. Operators rechecked their systems. Twice. Then a third time. The hardware was clean. The network was compromised. A new front in modern warfare had opened. Ukraine recognized the gap instantly. Reconnaissance teams as determined as any Marines pushed 1 to 1.5 kilometers into a zone long considered impassable. The snow was a fresh slate, but it couldn't hide the story. Abandoned tracks, discarded fuel drums, 2 shelters left in a panicked rush. The comms logs were even clearer. In just 1 hour, 21 Russian units reported delayed signals. Encrypted traffic from the Northern Brigade arrived with corrupted timestamps, drifting by 46 seconds, then 82, then nearly 2 minutes. On a front line dependent on synchronized action, the delay was a death sentence. Near the Serebryanka tree line, an air defense battery, blind without its data, lowered its readiness, creating a hole in the defense shield. It had missed a scheduled resupply message. To the east, an army battalion coordinating artillery fire paused all operations. Its expected reinforcements never arrived. The disruption was radiating outward, a systemic failure born from a single strike. It was bending the rhythm of the entire northern corridor. As Ukrainian war analysis teams pieced it together, a chilling picture emerged. The realization was sharp and final. The collapse of one winter convoy had begun to fracture the structure of an entire military front. What followed would confirm how far the effects of this war would travel. 6 a.m. dawn pushed a faint, cold light across the trees. It revealed a landscape reshaped by the night. The strike zone, once a road, was now a 900-meter scar, a testament to the power of these weapons. Metallic shapes lay half-buried, their heat signatures fading to nothing. The first satellite pass from the west began its scan. Its data confirmed the grim military update. No engines running, no movement. The formation destined for the northern advance was inert, frozen in place, undone long before it reached its firing positions. A decisive blow in a brutal war delivered without a sound. The shockwave hit the front lines instantly. Army artillery units in 3 separate districts reported critical firing delays from 20 to 36 minutes, a catastrophic breakdown in winter warfare coordination. Fuel convoys rerouted onto treacherous secondary ice corridors saw their travel times nearly double. Meanwhile, relay hubs along the Lisova stretch registered 47 timestamp mismatches in a single cycle. The digital nervous system of their defense systems was failing. Ukrainian command observed the instability with cold calculation. Small units of soldiers advanced into lightly defended ridges, seizing 200 to 300 meters. This was ground that had resisted all movement for months. These were not territorial victories, they were signals of an opponent forced to recalibrate under fire. Deep within Moscow's military operations rooms, the atmosphere grew tense. Urgent questions surfaced, probing the vulnerability of their winterized supply chains. Concerns over system compatibility flared, followed by the chilling realization that a single intercepted convoy had exposed deep structural gaps. The cost was far beyond monetary value. As full daylight broke across the frozen corridor, one truth settled in. The strike had not merely ended a mission. It had quietly shifted the balance of an entire northern front. As the winter sun crested the frost-covered ridge, the true scale of the disruption in this global conflict came into focus. A single strike, perhaps from advanced drones hidden in the snowstorm, had rippled outward. It bent supply routes, slowed artillery cycles, and forced entire brigades of troops to adjust their footing. All before dawn. The face of modern warfare on this battlefield had been redrawn in mere hours. The forest, the roads, even the command networks all carried the imprint of that quiet, precise moment when the winter defense fractured. And yet, this was only one chapter in a brutal war, shaped as much by defense technology and timing as by strength. In our war analysis, if you were watching this unfold in real time, every signal shift, every delayed transmission, every silent gap in the snow, what part of this operation would stay with you the longest? Share your tactical assessment in the debriefing below.